Welcome to the heart of Silicon Valley, the show where we feature the grit and passion of inspirational achievement and other interesting stories. I'm your host, Rachel, and I am here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Brittany Hampton.
Welcome, and we have a special treat today. I'm so excited. This could not be more synchronistic than to have a best-selling local author in the house right now. Geraldine Solon. Did I say your name correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I have to know right off the bat, is Geraldine a family name?
No, it's my first name.
No, no. I mean, did you get it from, is it like passed down? It's just such a unique, beautiful name. So I was just curious.
My mom wanted to give me a French name because my dad's French, so she thought Geraldine was a French name, but I'm not sure. I think it's an Irish name or could be a French name too.
Okay. So it could be French-Irish?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
well,
right.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
And you are here with your newest release.
Yes.
Do you mind if I go ahead and grab it?
Sure, definitely.
It is for sale right now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hot off the press, and
Yeah.
it is called Midlife Crisis Diaries. So
Correct.
tell us, what exactly is your inspiration behind a book like this?
Well, you know, the minute I hit 40, that's a time when you actually feel like, oh my gosh, you know, you're getting older and you feel like what do you want to do? What's out there for you? And I guess everybody's going through that midlife crisis, or it could be a transition, right? So I said, why don't I write something about that, you know? But I want to make it really funny, like a romantic comedy, because I'm sure people can relate to it, right?
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
I said, and then
Right.
the title came to my head, Midlife Crisis Diaries, and I thought it was perfect. So that's when I decided to write the story.
Well, when we were in the green room alone, everybody seemed to pick it up and be like, oh, that's me. That's what I'm in.
Exactly, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your writing process. I mean, you're so successful. You have what, 12?
8 books.
You have 8 books
Correct,
out?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about your writing process and your inspiration for writing.
So I write every day at night when everybody's asleep. I'm an owl. So what really inspires me, I mean, sometimes it can come to me in the form of a character. It could be a place, it could be a theme, it could be a scene or like a topic like midlife crisis or like that. And so it comes to me and I really totally immerse myself in that world and I start writing and I like to write when everybody's asleep, so I could be oblivious and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to have any distractions.
So
and
you have a full-time job then during the day?
I do,
Okay.
yeah. So I can't write during the day, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it takes me like sometimes 3 months to finish the first draft, and then I put it aside, and then I don't look at it at all. And I start taking long walks, and I think of something else, or I take a break, you know, spend time with friends, travel, and then I get back to it after a month, and then I start looking at the bigger picture and start thinking, what can I change, what can I add? And that's what I do before I send it to my editor.
Okay.
Are there
Yeah.
any writing snacks that you eat the most when you write?
No, I don't.
Does ice cream make a better book?
I actually don't eat, or
Makes a
I'm not
bigger
the type
belly.
of person like who likes to listen to music when I'm writing, or has to be this type. Has to be really quiet, you know.
And no snacks, huh?
No snacks.
Wow.
I'm good at that. Maybe chocolates, yeah.
Ooh.
At the-
Yeah.
after everything,
My
but not
kryptonite.
like That's my
Yeah.
weakness, chocolates.
Very
Yeah.
nice. So does your information just kind of flow then out of you? Is
Yeah, it
that
just
how-
comes to me. Like there was one time I was craving for chocolate cupcakes, and all of a
and
sudden
you
this lady in distress flashed through my mind, and the story began to unfold, and I knew that chocolate was a big factor in this book. So 6 months later, the book came out. It was called Chocolicious, based on that story. So
That's such a great name.
So it just comes to me in some natural form, or nothing extraordinary.
And you're pretty active in the community. What do
I
you
do.
do in the community? What made you want to be so active and give?
Well,
of
that's my
yourself?
way of giving back, right? And it's encouraging other writers. So I used to be the vice president of the Fremont Area Writers Club, which is part of the California Writers Club. And so I would also organize events for, where writers could pitch to editors or to agents, or where they could learn more about the publishing industry. Because what I noticed, like a lot of writers, they don't really have the marketing skills, or you have to remove your writer's hat when you decide to publish or decide to promote. And so that's my way of giving back, because it was also hard for me when I started. I had to really learn the ropes by myself. And you know, as authors, we shouldn't be alone, right? We should be able to help one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
so,
how it is.
as a writer myself, who has lots of unfinished manuscripts, right, sitting in their computer, what advice can you give? I mean, you're so accomplished in getting your it seems like being focused and really diving into a manuscript and then publishing it and getting it out the door. What advice can you give, not only to maybe even writers, but people who want to get their projects out of their head and out into the world?
Well, the first thing I say is if you're aiming for perfection, then it's not going to work, right? Because a lot of writers, they want to get it perfect. They focus on the grammar. They don't think about that first. Write everything. Whatever flows in your head, write it down. Get it out of your head. And then another thing I'd like to think of myself is like an athlete. You have to be disciplined. Like if inspiration doesn't show up, I mean, if inspiration's not there, then you still have to show up. You still have to be there, you know, and then just get it out there. Even if you complete the first draft looks really bad, but then at least you got it out.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. And nobody's going to judge you. That's another thing. In this type of business, you have to show that you're vulnerable. You know, you have to show, because you're showing a piece of yourself, right? You have to be ready for that. And then you have to have thick skin, because I mean, you are gonna get like good reviews and bad reviews, but that's part of the game.
Okay.
And chocolate.
And chocolate, lots of chocolate. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you said that your first novel, I read that your first novel is supposed to be adapted into a film.
It was actually optioned, but it never materialized. So those are the other pitfalls that you can encounter, where, you know, sometimes you sign with somebody and they tell you like, okay, we want to make it into a movie, but it doesn't really materialize at times.
But still is a bestseller.
Right, right.
Your first novel out of the gate was a bestseller. So this is amazing. Was that
Thank
luck,
you.
or do you think there's a strategy involved?
There is a strategy, and I think it's also part of working hard. You really have to work hard. I think you also have to be active with the community, be connected with other writers, because you know, most of the time when you're writing, we're alone, right? You're solitary. You're just typing there on your computer, and you need to
And
get
we get
out.
a little cuckoo.
Yeah, you're talking to your imaginary friends, right? So, I mean, it's important to network with other people.
Real people, not your characters.
Not your characters. Okay. That builds synergy, right? That builds synergy, and they can help you. And then you also have to do a lot of research, like get to know what's going on with the publishing industry. Everything's changing, you know, like bookstores are closing. I mean, ebooks are selling more than paperbacks, right? So you have to do your I spend at least like 2 hours of research every day just to see what's going on, what's changing. And then, of course, social media. You have to be active in social media and promote yourself. I mean, not just the shameless promotions, but, you know, go out and be able to help people too. Yeah.
Now, what I thought was interesting, I read that your latest project is to promote literacy by building libraries in remote areas of the the third world countries, called A Library for Hope.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that's awesome. You have such a big heart.
Thank you.
Have you started this project?
Yeah, I actually just started. I'm actually from the Philippines, so we tied up with the mayor of a certain island where the typhoon actually wiped out that island. I mean, there was a lot of people that died, and also we're actually building a library there. It's done, and I think we're supposed to launch it maybe end of this year or early next year.
It's pretty soon.
Yeah, so I want to do that because that's my way of giving back, right? I
How'd
mean,
you learn to be such a giving person?
I guess it
doesn't come naturally for all of us.
I guess I don't know. I guess it comes naturally. I don't know. For me, I mean, I believe like I feel good when you give more than when you get.
Right.
It feels so good, you know, to give.
So what do you do when you're not writing?
When I'm not writing, well, I have a day job. I work in Stanford University. I manage events.
Oh, okay.
And other than that, I mean, for fun, I love to travel.
Where do you like to go?
I usually go to the Philippines or visit my family. But
Nice.
Last month I was in Canada, and so I like to travel, go to the beach, watch movies,
Eat good food.
Eat good food, read.
Can you tell I like food?
I get to catch up on my reading also, because as writers we have to read a lot too. So that's another thing. It's good to immerse yourself in different genres, not just the genres that you write. So that way you can really see how other people write, like their style, their voice. You know, that way you can also identify with your own voice, right?
So if you weren't a writer, what would you be doing now? What would your career be if you weren't a writer?
I think it would be something creative too, because I mean, I'm really interested in like maybe advertising or film or something to that matter. Yeah, or even a lawyer. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer.
How about a
or
salsa
detective.
dancer?
Oh, that could be. I don't mind.
Or maybe a psychic.
Pole dancer, maybe
Yeah,
more of a pole.
psychic.
Because we were talking about that in the green room.
Yeah,
how
maybe
you-
a psychic.
I think that you have that in
intuitive,
you.
Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another life, another career.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I know earlier too, you had mentioned about exercise, and as with being a writer, I know that it can be real challenging to know, like, to be able to get exercise in, basically, right? Because you're sitting at a desk writing. So what kind of exercise do you do?
I like to walk.
Okay,
I walk
great.
a lot, yeah, because
that's a
that's
good
when I
source of
can. That's when I can think too. Especially like if you walk, like not. I don't want to walk in the treadmill. I walk like it where there's
Okay,
nature
outside
where there's nature, because that's where you get your creative juices flowing.
Right.
And where you think of your characters.
When you, yeah, when they're
Right.
talking, especially when it's
Especially your
quiet.
male. Do you have any male sexy characters
course, you have
that
to
you
make them
walk with,
sexy,
like down the beach
provocative, right?
with, right? Is this where you come up with them?
Of course, you have to. You don't have all those provocative male
Right,
characters,
right.
You
right?
probably never have to go on a real date. Do you?
I know, right?
Every day, every book is a different
book is a
person,
date.
right?
Get your own characters.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides being a best-selling author, right? You also teach writing workshops.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. And are there any other avenues where you like to help people, like with coaching or anything?
Well, I'm
like
thinking of that. That's one thing I'm thinking, like maybe coaching or doing one-on-one sessions or trying to do. I mean, I also get invited to speak at conventions and events, so that's what I do also. So I'm open to anything, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how
even-
would somebody get a hold of you if they wanted you to, host an event or do something like that?
They can go to my website, www.geraldinesolon.com.
Okay.
Here we are done.
It just has like a dance to it.
I know. I like the little melody.
Yeah.
I can't be serious all the time.
Right, that's right.
You're
That's
a fun
right.
writer. You're
Oh,
a
we
fun
have
author.
to be. We have to. I can't be
That's
serious,
right,
right? Or
right.
else.
No. Otherwise,
Right.
your books would probably have a much different plot
Yeah,
and
definitely.
storyline on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to read this one
Oh, thank
because I
you.
already flipped through it and it was like, it seemed really provocative and interesting. I mean,
Very
it already had
relatable.
some keywords on the back there where I was like, yeah.
Right?
I'll be walking on the beach, reading that
Oh,
one.
yeah, it could be a beach read, because it's light.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone? Let them know?
Just wanted to say thank you for being here, for
Oh, yeah,
inviting
of
me. I
course.
had a
Thank
great
you
time.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah.
Hope to see
Letting
you
us
guys
talk to
again.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what's your next project?
Well, I'm writing book 2 for this one.
Oh,
yeah.
there's a book
There's-
There's
too.
going to be a sequel.
Oh,
for that one,
nice.
yeah.
That's good to
After the
know.
midlife crisis?
It's going to be the same title, Midlife Crisis Diaries, but part 2.
Oh,
really
can you
good
give
to
us
know.
any kind of like
Hints or?
I think it's better that you read it first,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Okay, well,
Yeah, makes
all right.
sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll read the first
I guess
one.
we have to be patient and read it.
That, it looks like, by the way, she's pushing him off the altar, but that's okay. We'll cover that.
She's
in the
She's actually pulling him.
Oh, okay.
Hey, come back here.
We really want to thank you for visiting with us
you
today,
so
and you are
much.
such an inspiration, not only to the
thank
Silicon
you, thank
Valley,
you.
but to writers and viewers everywhere. And
Thank
just
you
thank
so
you so much
much.
for participating.
Oh, it's an
And-
honor. It's my
Yes,
pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I'm Rachel, your host.
And I'm Brittany Hampton.
Yes, and well, come on back for the next episode of Heart of Silicon Valley.